Talking with Tasha, talking with Tasha. It's episode 61 of Talking with Tasha. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for coming back for episode 61. This will be the conclusion to my conversation with Local Lou about the book Vanished in Vermillion. And you guys, 1 week from today, it's the author talk with the author of Vanished in Vermillion, Lou Ragoose, here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I'm moderating the author talk. I'm going to be there up on stage doing stuff. It's kind of cool. So if you want to check that out, go to the Siouxland Library's website. It is free to go to the author talk on April 24th, but seating is limited. So get your seat reserved ASAP. 1 week, you guys. 1 week and counting. Eek. Okay. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of silly to talk about TV and some of these other things when we have such a good conversation to get to. And I know you've probably just been waiting with bated breath to hear the conclusion of our conversation about Vanished in Vermillion. So I'm going to stop talking and we'll just get right to it. Here is the conclusion, part 2 of my chat with Local Lou about Vanished in Vermillion.
We're definitely getting into the nitty-gritty now. We're going to meet a man named Aloysius Blackcrow. He's a violent criminal from Montana known for providing suspicious testimony as a jailhouse snitch and would become a pivotal piece of this disappearance, basically zooming the spotlight in on David Licken while getting special treatment for himself out of the deal, which is, worst case scenario because you don't want a snitch that's been paid. That generally isn't going to get you high quality information. And so in this case, he explains in conversations that he had with his fellow inmate that Licken would give details of how he killed the missing girls, confessing everything, raping, murdering, dismembering, burying. Then this cements the media focus and the public opinion of David Licken. A grand jury from this testimony, a grand jury is convened in 2006 and again in 2007. This time in 2007, they get an indictment, which means they're heading to trial. So January 2008, there's a pre-trial hearing where Blackcrow admits that he was paid for this testimony. And David's sister shares recovered memories from hypnosis. And the whole thing ends up going to be dismissed because during this process, it is exposed, essentially, outside of the fact that there is no evidence, that the snitch was lying. Even the recorded conversations were between him and somebody else. So there's not a shred of truth in there. And everything else was just third and fourth hand information, rumors, and then again from his sister, false memories. And how did you feel when you read that?
Wasn't it one of the other times I searched the farm off of that recording or something? And
yes.
And even, I think it was Kerwin, when he heard it, that's not my brother. And they made it sound like anybody that heard that recording afterwards was like, you have to be an idiot to think this is the same person. And I haven't heard them, but apparently it was pretty obvious, and yet they still used it to get another warrant and to take it to get an indictment and stuff. It's just kind of crazy that it went that far with a totally false recording and the whole hypnosis thing. So, as someone that has literally seen every episode of Law and Order SVU,
I love your credentials. Continue.
Yes, my degree is from the University of SVU, and yeah, this whole hypnosis thing and even polygraphs are basically junk science. I feel like they relied on a lot of kind of junk science for this, and some of this is just the time. There's been more studies and stuff done since, but it was still 2008 you said? I feel like even then hypnosis and this whole recovered memory thing was kind of
dicey
even at that time, but anytime I hear about someone doing a polygraph, I'm like, I don't care. It's not admissible in court anyway, and people can fake them all the time. I don't care about a lie detector test at all, but that's just me.
If you want to use it as a piece of not supporting it, if you have supporting evidence and then you want to throw a polygraph in there, fine. But if you're saying a polygraph is like the load-bearing structure, like,
right.
I'm scared.
And I think a lot of times police use the lie detector kind of like a scare tactic more than anything.
Yes.
It's kind of just a mind game a little bit. I don't know. And I feel like I need to say I'm not anti-cop, but I do think there were some things that happened in this case that was not good police work, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. I honestly, I think they would do it differently.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. If this happened now, I feel like everything would be different. But yeah, it is kind of like maybe the polygraph is kind of like a litmus test, more like they're throwing it out there to see what your reaction is, like kind of when your therapist asks you something real dicey and it's, why would you hear?
Yeah. And
Clearly
the whole
you already
recovered
know.
memory thing, I go back and forth about the recovered memory thing because I do know that as a trauma response, sometimes to deal with something, we forget it, or like our body, our brains let it go, whatever. But I also think we can also, like we've talked about before, be swayed in what we actually remember. This is kind of a weird example, but when I was very little, I remember, I don't actually remember, but when I was very little, we had a cat and a dog, Smokey and Sir. And I only know this because there are pictures of me holding these animals. I don't remember it actually, but there are pictures of it. And I even had to stop myself and say, no, I don't actually. I remember seeing pictures of it, but I don't actually. I'm in the photo, but I was very young. And so, but I think that's the kind of thing that recovered memories can be. Like, you're remembering a version that someone told you, or you're remembering, I don't know. And I think, again, she already knows they want her brother for this murder, and she's grown up hearing about these missing girls. And I'm not saying she did it on purpose. I think it could just be a lot of things, like the brain is a weird thing.
And I liked what you said about maybe it's as simple as it's not nefarious at all, and she is deep down inside just this broken people pleaser. And she's just like, well, I do want to help you guys, and I know my brother's done some bad things, and my family, I don't really like them. So it's possible that they did something bad like this, And so it could be not nefarious. It could be totally just like genuine. But, and those are the people that like shouldn't be put in that position for a recovered memory thing. Like,
right.
And there's certain people that even shouldn't be like under the care of a psychiatrist and stuff. Who's that Brian Wilson guy that like got the guy from the Beach Boys, and he like gave like everything to his psychiatrist person, that, you know what I mean? Like, it's
because that can also be an abuse of power, that whole abuse, like
the power dynamics.
Yes. Like and kind of like that sheriff using his authority. I think like they did go to school. They almost know how to manipulate a person if they want to use their powers for bad and not good, So it's
right.
It's messy.
Ethics are like a whole thing, man.
Yeah,
just a whole, and respect and
I don't know if you were still gonna get to this, but I'll just bring it up now. Yes, David was in prison for doing terrible things to women that he did date. Like, he knew them, like he was in relationships with them. And so he said over and over again, I barely knew these girls. I'm in prison because I couldn't let go of relationships, and I did bad things to people that wanted to break up with me. I didn't know these women. He is even saying, that's not my MO. That's not my, like, it doesn't add up for what he, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He did do these terrible things, but I don't think he did it at 16 to these people he barely knew.
Right, he did terrible things, but he didn't do this terrible thing.
And when you're already in prison, was he in for life, or what was his sentence?
Oh my gosh, it's like 250 some years or something. So like he got back-to-back sentences. Yeah.
Right. So he has nothing to lose. If he did it, he'd probably admit it, because he's in prison forever anyway. No parole. He's there, He's got no reason to not tell you the truth, Like, he's already, I don't know. It sounds like he's kind of a rambler anyway.
Yeah.
They said that he just kind of likes to talk, so I don't know. But
loves an audience. Who doesn't? We've been talking for 2 hours, and we're like, he's a chatter.
Says two ladies with a podcast. We just talk into the void all the time. But no, I think it is one of the, and especially because I knew the end of this thing. So I know hindsight is a very powerful thing where you think, oh,
Yes.
they're so dumb, blah, blah, blah. But I'd like to think at least a couple of these detectives did actually think this and weren't. It's that whole, what's the like confirmation bias? Like they were trying to make the narrative fit what they wanted instead of actually following the clues.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, there's a mob mentality that comes with it too. And then, of course, we can't like discount the small townness, the rumors, all that stuff. And also, every time I say rumors, I think of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, the husbands and the rumors. but yeah, it's just. There are so many pieces to this puzzle that make sense to how we got to where we got here, but it just sucks because this family was dragged through the mud. And again, like this family, one bad apple doesn't spoil the bunch. And I don't know. And the family's not perfect.
Right. No family is. Even a hoity-toity, quote-unquote, well-to-do family, they got skeletons, okay? Like, nobody, so...
Nobody makes it out of here alive, man.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's just a lot of... People have a lot of layers, and you can also be a philanthropist and a good businessman and this and that and the other thing and have done awful, awful things. So... again, just keeping that all in mind when we're talking about this because it is such an injustice what happened to this family and there are long-lasting ramifications for that. But we'll get to the end of this story first. So here we are. The case against David is dismissed, and we are now in September 21st of 2013 when Jim Sorensen takes his ATV out for a ride. Jim we haven't met him yet. He's just a fresh face in this story, and he had just recently read an article in a newspaper where they talked about 2 cars in Oklahoma were found by sonar, and each car had 3 skeletons inside. They were from different time periods and had both careened into this bed of water and then were found. So being aware of these missing girls, who we haven't said their names in a while, but Pam Jackson and Sherry Miller. So being aware of these girls that had been missing since 1971, Jim takes out his ATV and is wandering around gravel roads, and he decides to retrace the girls' steps. Again, not a cop, but that feels like Cop 101. Let's just go where they went, right?
And didn't he know one of the girls?
Yeah, I think
went to school with one of them or something.
The same school, yeah.
He might have been younger, older, or something.
Yeah, younger.
But yeah.
I think he graduated like a year or two after. Yeah. So he had, again, that kind of connection that keeps you probably, it just must tug on your heartstrings. I've not been connected to a case like that, so I don't know. But I'm assuming that it's on your mind a lot, that what happened. And are they okay? Obviously they aren't, but just that must be on your mind a lot. And so it was on his mind that day. He retraces the steps of the night that they disappeared, and about 100 yards from the gravel pit entrance on a bridge that went over Brule Creek, looking over the south side of the bridge, Jim sees in the middle of the creek the undercarriage of a car. Jim immediately reports this to the police. 2 days later, the police would investigate, and it's verified that Jim indeed found the car. And
even that, 2 days later, they go look at the car? 2 days? What?
It's gotta sound crazy though, right? Man, I was out on my ATV and I just solved like a 40-year-old murder, y'all.
Well, even if he didn't think it was let's say he didn't know what kind of car it was.
Yeah.
If someone calls and says, hey, there's a car in this creek, you'd think they'd come right away. You're like, I just don't understand.
It's so interesting though, because in the book, the author does describe the fact that a lot of cars are found in these rivers and creeks, and I was thinking about that and I thought that was weird, but at the same time I do those river cleanups for the Friends of the Big Sioux River, and I was up in Brookings, and there is a park in Brookings that is actually made out of garbage. Like, it used to be a like landfill, and now it's a park, and it's surrounded by like a golf course and then a farm. And on that farm, this guy had lined a creek bed with car pieces, like pieces of cars. So, I mean, I guess it happens. I guess you use what you have to protect your land.
And I think he brings it up in the book, and it is a thing that a lot of farmers did, where
Right.
instead of burning garbage or something, they'd bury it, or and I guess that's a way to get rid of a car, but again, you have to have the right equipment. Like, digging the hole would take forever, and I get that it's a thing that has been done before, and not even for nefarious reasons, just to
get rid of it.
to get rid of it. But anyway, yeah.
So the police recover, obviously, the car. They aren't able to just yank it out of there because it would just like disintegrate and ruin everything. So they kind of have to do this like half dive situation to get everything out of the car before getting the car out. But the police would recover both Pam and Sherry's remains, and the disappearance and the mystery surrounding it is solved. The girls had gotten turned around while trying to find the party and somehow drove into the river. No foul play, not runaways.
Yeah, so 1971 to what, 2013, right? Is when
2013.
And then, yeah. And then all Kerwin Licken wants is an apology, and still hasn't gotten one.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about how, this runs deep. And so you had shared on your social media that we were going to be talking about this book. That's kind of it.
Yeah, I was just a picture of the book, and I just said, just finished this book. Can't wait to talk about it with Local Lou. I gave no opinions of my own in the post. I mean, I did here, obviously, but not in the post.
Yeah, right.
And little did I know, like, how... as of this recording, let's see how many likes, shares, all that stuff. And I did take some screenshots of the more interesting stuff, but it has 889,305 views.
Oh my gosh.
33,000 post engagement. It has 1,138 likes, 250 comments, 172 shares on Facebook. And a lot of those comments are Kerwin Licken himself, the brother of David Licken.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was like, and obviously these are real people. I know that. But
yeah, they're real
people.
And it's their family. Yeah.
And I remembered the ending of this story because I moved to Sioux Falls in 2009. I was on the morning radio show. I started in April of 2013. So then when this happened in August, it was one of the first kind of big local stories we talked about. Andy, my co-host, was from Beersford. So he had heard about this story his whole life, basically. And I remember, part of why I remember this is because on the news, Andy didn't like the way they were saying the creek's name because I guess locals...
Is it Brule Creek?
I guess locals said Bruley Crick is how
Brule.
You know what
Brule,
that's what he says. So in the book even he says Brule Creek. He pronounces it like how it's spelled, but apparently locals say Bruley Creek or something, or Bruley Crick.
Okay.
A crick, not a creek.
Well, yeah.
So I mean I knew that they were found, and just like in most true crime stories, even though I do and I shouldn't say enjoy hearing these stories, but in a lot of these stories I don't always remember names and maybe not even what year, but there's usually one tidbit that like sticks out, or like a thing that like sticks in your brain with the stories. And for me, this one was when they found the remains, that it was in, one of the girls was wearing pantyhose, and a bunch of the remains or like bones were still in the pantyhose. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like I would never even thought of that being possible or a thing, or I don't know. It was just, it's one of those
sad.
Yeah. That's one of those snippets that just like sticks in your brain. And yeah. And can you imagine being the cousin or that other friend that was with them for a little bit, and like the survivor guilt a little bit of what could have been, or even if someone else was maybe driving, or I don't know. I guess it just depends if you believe in fate or not, or if these things are predetermined, or I don't know. It kind of goes into all that too, but
I kind of wonder
crazy
about those boys too, that
yeah,
like, just not a care in the world that they lost the girls.
And okay, so I was trying to explain this story to a couple of my friends after I finished the book, and a couple of them said, and a lot of people even on Facebook and all those comments were saying like, why didn't anybody search there before, blah blah blah. The girls lied about where they were going, and I'm not blaming the victim, but I'm just saying, even if the sheriff would have searched right away, was it Sherry told her sister she was going roller skating? Nobody, they didn't tell their parents, oh, we're going to this sand pit, we're going to be drinking, blah, blah, blah. So even if they did start looking for them right away, they would have been looking in the wrong place. So, and it started to rain. So even if there were tire tracks or something, they were gone within a day or whatever. So
wow. And the girls themselves were gone. I mean, since their bodies were skeletal, obviously when they were found, we'll never know if they survived the initial impact or if it was like a Chappaquiddick situation where, I mean, that poor girl was alive for a while Ted Kennedy swam away and saved himself and cried about it, and she was still in that car upside down breathing. And I want to remember her name, Mary Jo Kopechne. Yeah, let's not just say Ted Kennedy. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, Mary Jo Kopechne was alive in air pocket inside that car for long enough to have been saved, and she was not saved. And so it's hard to tell, like, even if those boys had realized the girls weren't behind them anymore and they went to go look for them with a sense of urgency, which why would they?
Right.
But even
the girls could have just changed
they,
their mind. They don't know. Yeah.
They barely knew them,
Yeah.
and so it's just, so even if that had happened, and again, why would they? But even if it had happened, there's no saying that they would have recovered live girls. The thing that all of this would have saved, because maybe there isn't a way to save the girls, no matter how we like rethink it or reorganize it or whatever. But the thing it would have saved is all of the pain for the Jackson family, for the Miller family, and for the Licken family, and the embarrassment of, all the law enforcement that fumbled the things. And, there's just a lot of things that would have been saved if they had been found in a reasonable amount of time. Specifically, those poor parents lived the rest of their lives not knowing what happened to their children. And specifically, some of them died thinking their daughters were violently raped. So that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Thank God.
But I always like to think, no matter what you believe happens after we die, I like to think that, because a lot of times in these sort of stories, it's, oh, they died not knowing what happened. I'd like to think that wherever they are now, they know. You know what I mean? Like all the secrets of our lives are kind of revealed after we die. I don't know. I like to think that anyway, that, I don't know how to say it, but I don't know what is up there or after this life, but I'd like to think that they got some peace at some point. If you believe they crossed over, or maybe they're with their daughter now or whatever, I think they figured. That's what I'm choosing to believe anyway. But
if so, the first thing I'm asking is who killed John Bonet.
Yeah.
We need to know.
We do need to know. There's the new documentary that the dad's even in, and now I kind of don't think the brother did it.
Yeah, I don't think Burke did it either.
I did for a really long time.
I know. Because it would at least make sense and give kind of an impetus for Patsy to get involved, but it's just such a wild one. I don't know. There's just, maybe it's something that has like such a basic explanation like this. This story has a very basic explanation. So basic. Like maybe it is just a simple, some random weirdo did this.
It could be. But there's still things that just don't make sense, like the pineapple in her stomach, and I don't know.
The pineapple, that note.
Yeah, there's a lot about it that's still...
Yeah. knowing the dad's exact amount of his bonus, the fact that it's written in what could possibly be Patsy's handwriting.
We're getting off subject, but yeah.
But how is it not the same subject, though?
It is
Because
very
that
similar,
family-
actually. Yeah.
That family was put, I mean, through hell.
Yeah.
I mean, it just so happens that in this case, we know
Yes.
for sure that David didn't do it.
Yeah.
We
And
don't know for sure. In the
what I
Ramseys.
think is even crazier, in the John Bonet case, Patsy has since passed away from cancer, and the dad has gotten remarried. Who remarries that guy? You know, who they
right?
are. And not saying that he did it, but still just like, there's going to be speculation around you the rest of your life. I don't know.
Forever.
It's just a lot. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I suppose he's probably a nicer guy than these people that like married Ted Bundy in jail and stuff. So I don't know.
I know, what the heck. Yeah, there is something wrong with those people. Yeah. So I do have a few questions for you.
Okay.
I think we've covered some of them, but so you talked about that you knew how the story ended. So I'm fascinated by that because like when I read the book, I didn't know how it ended. And so I liked it like that because it was just like, I just had so many opinions along the way, and the whole licking thing just didn't make a lick of sense to me. Like it was just a wacky, odd fork in that road.
Yeah, and even though I knew the ending, and obviously the big headlines at the time when they found the car was just that these two girls that went missing in 1971 are found, I don't remember hearing anything about the Lickin family when...
Ooh.
I mean, I could be wrong. I didn't read... I'll be honest, I probably didn't read a full article at all at the time, but I don't remember it ever saying Lickin family cleared. I don't remember hearing that name at all. But I could be wrong. It could have been somewhere in some story. But so the whole Lickin family or the other, just any of the other theories, I didn't know anything about, so.
Was probably really interesting to read then.
Yeah. There was still a lot in this book that I was like, I don't know. And the whole public opinion thing, I think it's still, and it's just kind of with anything, there's evidence, there's all this stuff now, and there's still people in that town that don't believe it. They don't believe that car was there the whole time. They don't believe, they still think the Lickens had something to do with it, or that there was something. So yeah, it's just wild that, and I think we've all met someone in our life that just refuses to believe something that's like right in front of their face. But yeah, I don't know. And I think that goes back to just, the stories about the family, or, just after years of hearing something, sometimes it's hard to unlearn it, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Where do you think this investigation went so wrong, or why do you think it went so wrong?
I think part of it was the lack of urgency in the beginning. Any clues that were there, they didn't get because they didn't try to. And then I think, like I kind of mentioned earlier, a lot of the junk science when it came to the Lickin stuff is they just were believing a lot of things that I would hope now people wouldn't take that far, because again, a lot of it just wasn't. I don't think it was hard enough evidence to do what they did, or to point the finger at anybody. I don't think there was not one theory that had enough behind it to go with it, I feel.
No. Honestly, it would have made more sense in my mind when I was listening and also reading this book. Again, these people are still alive, so it always makes you whatever. But I mean, why not look at those boys?
True. I mean, the fact that
makes so much more sense.
Yeah, the fact that none of the high schoolers or any of the friends were interviewed is just kind of wild. And like I said, I don't know how truthful a lot of those kids would have been because they were all at a party they weren't supposed to be at, kind of thing. Right. But the fact that no one even tried, and even a month or two later, you'd think then, at least I'd like to think if I was in high school, I might have lied at first that I wasn't there. But eventually when you realize they're not coming home, people are going to start you know what I mean? Feeling, oh, maybe I should tell them what actually happened because it's a little more serious now or whatever,
My go-to is always, if I can't say it to their face, I'll just write a letter. So
Yeah.
maybe just a little anonymous letter to the cops.
Yeah.
Hey, so there was a party. People were doing the bad things, and I was, a willing participant. And so here's what happened,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a way to share your information without completely outing yourself.
Right,
but,
right. I don't know if Crime
yeah,
Stoppers was a thing yet in 1971,
Yeah, right?
but you can drop an anonymous tip these days. So
You can leave a baby at a fire station. I don't know. I mean, there's all sorts of ways around stuff. It's just...
And I get, like I said, a lot of the kids maybe even thought it wasn't that serious at the beginning, but at a certain point it was, so I don't know. It's a lot.
Okay, one more. What do you think is the most frustrating part of this story? And I hate to say story. What do you think is the most frustrating part of this real event? Like the disappearance or the Licken family? Or what's the most frustrating part when you think about it?
I feel like it's a little bit of two things, because kind of like we said in the beginning, I feel like the two girls get lost a little bit because it turns into a story about something else, which, don't get me wrong, that family still deserves to have their story told. But I do think the girls, in some way, depending who's telling the story, they turn into a footnote almost, even though even though it's technically their story. And then obviously just the idea, like I said before, the fact that they were trying to make the evidence fit a story they wanted. Like, they just wanted so bad for it to be David Licken, so it was like, at all costs, we'll make it be that, so
yeah.
And I get wanting an answer like these. I get that, but at the same time, I want it to be the right answer, because otherwise there is still a killer out on the loose or something, so if you did think it was foul play, if you don't get the right person, then there's somebody out there doing bad stuff still. So I don't know.
Yeah. And so was that, like, when you read those comments, like, from your Facebook post, were they mostly about the Licken family?
A lot of them were just a quick, oh yeah, I read that book too, or oh, I remember this story. That's what a lot of them were, just kind of that. And then a lot of people brought up Gitchy Girl too, which is another big case that happened in this area. But
that one's really complicated.
Really complicated. It state lines, and
it's just complicated.
It's just
a lot of people.
A lot of people.
A lot of people died.
Yes.
It's a lot of names.
Terrible.
It's just complicated.
And this one, and in Vanished in Vermillion, and in this case, in this real life case, no foul play. Sure, it is terrible that these two girls died, but it was an accident. Whereas Gitchy Girl,
no accident.
That was rough. But do you want me to read a couple of the back and forth? Yeah. Because a big thing a lot of people, again, don't believe. And in the book, he does talk about how a few people said that they thought they did see tires and stuff in that creek over the years, but just assume someone like threw garbage over, or, like a lot of all these things come to light after the fact. But okay, This person said, I read the book. He did an excellent job. This one's kind of long, but he did an excellent job of explaining the cultural context of the time and place, as well as the legal case and near wrongful conviction playing out in the meantime. I have been to the bridge and still cannot understand how they were not found immediately. It never should have gotten to that point. Their headlights were there, and then they were gone. So there were only so many places they could be. So many was in quotes. Divers should have been in that creek the next morning. Just awful. And then Kerwin Licken himself chimes in. He says, you can wade in the creek, so no divers were ever needed. And then another person chimed in and said, we know someone who died in a creek inside their car as it went under. Yes, a creek after so much snow had melted and formed a raging river. So, I mean, some people are saying, yes, it's possible. And then other people are saying, like, no, I don't think it was possible.
I think you can drown in an inch of water. I think that's all you need. So the people that are saying it's not possible are not accurate.
I suppose Facebook is public. I can probably use their names. But this Vicky Stenerson started a comment that then Kerwin and Jim Severson, who I believe was a sheriff at some point, they have a back and forth. So do you want to see this back? Do you want to hear this back and forth? Okay. So Vicky's original comment says, I read it too. Can't believe how even when, in all caps, given the results, Finding them in their car in the creek, the investigators still wanted to say that that guy killed them. And then Jim Severson said no investigator blamed anyone after they were found. Once it was determined the vehicle accidentally went off the road, the entire incident was declared an accident. The vehicle was in gear, proving it was moving at a rate of speed. No one was pushing it into the creek, and the tires on the car were far from ideal, especially for driving on gravel. Get the facts straight before you make these assumptions or statements. Thanks. And then Kerwin says to Jim, read chapter 47 in the book. Also, when we deposed you for our lawsuit, you blamed everything on Braley, and he was conveniently dead, so he couldn't speak. I had to sit there and watch you lie. You are not a decent human. Remember, I had to live through the hellish nightmare. You couldn't even know what gear the car was in, so you had to have Don Dalen figure it out. Shut up and sit down. You have never come down and apologized for the crap that my mom and I went through. Anybody want to know the rest of the story? Come down to my place and I'll tell you.
I mean, let's go, right?
Yeah. And then Jim replies, Lou is meaning the author, Lou is a truth stretcher. Anytime you are willing to talk with me without calling me names and being vile and vicious, just let me know. I lived it also from the other side. I didn't write the warrants, nor did I blame Mike. The accusations you made against us were all deemed just that, accusations. What Lou doesn't tell the readers is that all those warrant requests were signed by the same judge. He felt there was a basis for them. And then Kerwin says, Jim, you have had 11 years to come down and apologize, and you never have, so I find your words meaningless. Case in point, Judge Rush signed 3 search warrants. The last one claimed that David did not see Sherry and Pam on the bus going to school Memorial Day 1971. David went to school in Beersford. Pam and Sherry went to school in Vermillion. Sherry lived in town, so she wouldn't have rode the bus. Pam could have rode a bus, but here's the kicker, Jim. There was no school on Monday, May 31st, 1971, so how could any of this happen? You signed the search warrant. And then he goes on to say, I lived the truth, so shush. If you wouldn't have lied when we deposed you in the law library, or your standard answer was Braley did it, or the other answer was you couldn't remember. No, if I were you, I would have been a coward like you were and are.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then Jim keeps going. He says, I never wrote or signed a warrant other than to say I took part in the execution of the warrant. If you were me, would you get anywhere near you with your violent and vicious attitude? You are correct. Oof. Judge Art Rush signed all of those warrants, and I trusted him and Braley. I have never called you a name and don't plan on it. But once again, you pick the time and place, and I will meet with you. I don't know why you think...
That sounds like a threat.
I know. I don't know why you think I was such a major player in this case. I was just, as you have accused me of saying in the past, just doing my job. My major role in this case was to properly... I screenshotted this, so it says see more, but I can't click it.
Well, but that's so interesting.
And then Kerwin comes back. What a load of bullshit. It goes on. And then one guy, after it goes on for a long time, just goes, Vicky, you've stirred up the good old Union County boys. I thought that was funny.
That is actually maybe my favorite comment.
Yeah. This gal says, my family knew the Jacksons very well. My mother taught Pam and her brother. I went to school with them and rode the bus with them. The whole mystery was so very hard on Pam's parents. They had just one wish, and that was to know what happened to the girls before they died. This person said, my wife and I were at USD when this happened, and it was the total news from morning to night. Hard to believe that. And then they go on to say a bunch of stuff that isn't true, but hard to believe that a pink Rambler couldn't be found. It was a rare car for the time. The searches that were done and the excavation that were done and the finger pointing. I haven't read the book, but I lived the times. It was totally in the news. And of course, Kerwin chimes in. I lived the hellish nightmare, and the book doesn't cover half of the shit I went through. Keep opinions to yourself unless you were there. Plus, it wasn't a Rambler. It was a Studebaker, all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh. Well, it's like... I think I kind of... That is so Facebook, though. It's just, I haven't read this book and I don't know what they were talking about, but I have some incorrect information I would like to share. Hold on.
Kerwin, he says again, he's like, you are so wrong. There wasn't any reporting of the girls going missing. The car was a tan 1961 Studebaker. Again, nobody looked for them and there were no searches. And he says when the girls went missing in 1971, there was no reporting. Does that clarify it for you?
Ooh.
And someone asked if the family ever got an apology. So, of course, Kerwin answered. He said, no apologies. I told the DCI agents if they would apologize, I wouldn't sue. What a joke to sue the state. Judge Karen Schreier said they could bust up anything and anywhere on the farm because they were looking for a car and bodies. They destroyed the contents of my basement, dug up cattle yards, busted up cement pads. They wanted to know where my septic tank for the barn was. I told them that they were sick if I could have put bodies in a septic tank. I told them I had lost my daughter, which we didn't get into, but he lost his daughter in that a really tragic farming accident, right? There was I told them I had lost my daughter, so I knew what it was like to lose a child. They proceeded to empty the septic tank and dump it on the driveway. So that's not cool. And then someone said, our book club is discussing this next month. And Kerwin said, I will gladly come to your book club and answer every question you have from the time period of 2004 until 2014. Gladly, I will answer.
You know, that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
What do you hear when you're like reading these things from Kerwin? It just, like, what comes to the top for you?
Obviously still upset.
Yeah.
And I think I get why. Part of me is like, dude, Facebook fighting doesn't always solve anything. Because as you can see, it just went back and forth and whatever. Mm-hmm. But I also think there is a lot of misinformation out there. And he feels like, don't say anything if you don't, like, he did live it. So, yeah. And then someone said there's a series on Hulu called Gone, and this story was one of the episodes.
Oh.
I don't know if that's true.
Interesting.
Someone said, I struggle to believe that in 40 years there was never a time when a drought took place and the creek wasn't dry. I can't be convinced of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good story, bro.
Yeah, and then it says, exactly, I live in South Dakota and it had to have been visible over the years. Wonder who the landowner is and why it was never questioned how it got there.
You know, I hear what they're saying, but logistically, if you have 80 acres of land, and come on, guys.
And the book does explain some of the weather patterns and things that. But Kerwin chimes in and says the creek has never been dry. Most times it is knee deep with sometimes 6 foot deep. A civilian found the car because he went looking for it. The LEOs involved were too dumb.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not too dumb. I don't think they're
Those
dumb.
Those were Kerwin's words.
Yeah. But it's just, they just weren't looking.
Yeah.
They weren't looking because they already decided that the story had a different ending. So they weren't looking.
And the author even commented, because I tagged him. Ooh. He just said, glad you enjoyed it.
Okay. That is like king level comment. That is just top tier.
Yeah.
That is a great comment.
This was a nice comment. It says, Oscar and Adele were kind, gentle, and had so much faith. Loved being their neighbors in Alcester, hearing their life stories. An amazing couple.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these were all families. And again, you can understand where Curran's coming from because, I mean, his family was ravaged by this. So, yeah, that is so interesting. Oh, man. Are you glad that you read this?
Yeah. And I'm glad I read it because there was a lot I didn't know. Hold on. There was another comment, Kerwin, because someone said, I went to the bridge after they found the car. It could not possibly have been in that spot for years. Had to have been beyond. And when it flooded, the car rose and got stuck at the bridge. Kerwin said the car was found on the south side of the bridge, less than 5 feet away from the pillars. Bruley Creek flows north to south, so the car was always there and it never moved. Like, he's just really trying to be the fact checker that Facebook does not have anymore. That's basically what...
He's moderating the conversation. Yeah.
And this person says it was a big disgrace that the Licken family had to endure. I don't know that they ever got an apology. And Kerwin said none.
We did not. Yeah. And I guess that's what I'm hearing a lot of is just the pain, the fact that he feels unheard, maybe like that. Obviously, it's still affecting him and whatever's left of his family for sure.
These were a couple nice comments, too. And I didn't fact check this either, but this person claims to be Sherry's second cousin. They said, I've grown up hearing the story. Thankfully, our family finally has closure. Another gal commented, I used to fish right over there where their car was found in the 90s. I lived on an acreage nearby. I put their burials on Find a Grave after they were found. I just started reading this book.
Oh, that's nice.
And then Kerwin left this long message too, where he's like, for all of you that read this book, the comments are puzzling. I don't know the story from 71 to 2004, but I sure as hell know the story from that August day until they found the car in 2013 and identified them in 2014 and determined that it was an accident. Pure hell what they put my mom and I and my family through. Pure hell. Lying DCI agents and psychiatrists, lawyers, and judges. They did thousands of dollars of damages and walked away. So much was left out of the book that I could write my own book to tell that story because I had to live it every day. Yeah, I think he should.
Justice for Kerwin. That's what it should be called.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And he's
it's
actually
like,
pretty well, I shouldn't say actually, but he's pretty well spoken. And
is.
like, he knows what he's, I don't know.
he's got a passion for it. And I mean, write what you know, man. Kerwin, write it down. Make this a thing. Do this for not only yourself, but like obviously for your family, and just to make sure that there is a record out there. And, you know, it's not to say that his story is going to be the be all end all Bible, most accurate, whatever. I don't think that, but it will always be his version, you know, and nobody can take that away from him. And then he has a reference point too, where he can show, you know, receipts, timeline, proof, you know, where, you know, so I don't know.
And they
I
say
want that for him.
They say there's 3 sides to every story, you know, his, hers, and the truth. So, you know, it's kind of,
absolutely.
and then someone brought up the attorney generals and stuff.
Yeah.
And, oh, yeah.
A lot of layers to this one, for sure. I'm glad that the Siouxland Libraries picked this as the one book Siouxland, because I feel like there's going to be a ton of really great discussion on it. Specifically the day that on April 5th, I'll be giving like a talk, you know, about just court of public opinion stuff. But there's also going to be someone there that's going to be talking about missing Indigenous women and, you know, just all these like headline things, you know, and I think it's going to be really, it's going to be a great conversation. I think it's going to be, honestly, even if 5 people show up, it's going to be just a lit conversation.
Do you think Kerwin will show up at some of these events?
I should look at a picture of him so I know to look for him, you know. And if I was him, would I show up at something like that? Probably. I mean, probably. I probably would.
And I it's interesting, after I posted that and saw that he was commenting, there was a little part of me that got more nervous to do this, because
I wondered,
because I was like, is he gonna be mad? I don't want to make anybody mad. I don't know, but
I don't want to make anybody mad, but I don't think I think our intent is just talking about a book that we read.
And I think you know, as a fan of My Favorite Murder, and they describe it as a true crime comedy podcast, and people are like, how is that funny? But I always look at it like, we're not laughing at the victims. We're not laughing at the scenario. It's like, we're laughing at the, and I shouldn't even say laughing, but we're poking fun, in this case, at all the red herrings and the things that got blown out of proportion and that kind of stuff. The
audacity.
Yes, the audacity.
We are pointing at the audacity. And just like, are you kidding me? Like, that kind of stuff. Not gonna lie, that doesn't make sense. Like, or outsider looking in 2020 vision, whatever. How did that happen? There's a lot of that, not only in this book, but obviously in the case. So,
and I get that, like, the Attorney General and DCI and all these higher ups, that Kerwin just wants an apology. I kind of get why they won't do it, because the hubris, and they just can't admit that they were wrong. And then that would mean, like, that judge that signed all those warrants, if they then start looking into every other warrant, I get why sometimes they can't go back on some of those things. But I do think the lick-ins, especially if what Kerwin is saying is true, with like septic sewage on their driveway and stuff that they had to deal with later, they should have got something back for damages or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's uncalled for, to just leave sewage on their property or whatever, you know, like that's a biohazard or something. Like, that's not safe, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah. And how do you clean it up? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. That is interesting. Well, I'm glad you read this so we could talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, it was a fun little adventure.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, if you have like 5-10 more minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you?
I got nothing going on.
Well, because you watch a lot of stuff. And we've talked about stuff before, TV shows, movies, whatever, before. So I wanted to ask, have you watched 1923?
No, I'm not as into...
You're not a Yellowstoner?
Not really. But I have been told...
I've never seen a second of Yellowstone.
That's what I was just going to say. I've been told that even if you didn't get into Yellowstone or don't care about Yellowstone, the prequel things are worth a watch anyway. I might give it a watch. I thought you were going to ask about Paradise on Hulu, and then I was going to...
What's that?
Oh, It's Sterling K. Brown is the Secret Service guy for the president, played by James Marsden. And it is written by the same people that did This Is Us. So it's the same sort of storytelling with flashbacks, but it's not a family cry fest. This is very different.
Good.
It is kind of a like whodunit dystopian thing that's happening. The last episode, I had anxiety. It's really good. And I've also, speaking on the true crime tip, I've watched 3 things recently that are, I don't know why this is a trend with influencers these days, but I watched Anatomy of Lies, which was about a Grey's Anatomy writer that lied about having cancer. I watched Apple Cider Vinegar, which was about a chick from Australia that became like a wellness influencer that lied about having cancer. And then I watched Scamanda, which was also about a lady that lied about having cancer.
It's so weird.
And I'm like, what is up with this? But I kind of get it in this world where you can get validation and confirmation and likes from people and sympathy
support.
and support and money. Some of them are like kind of scamming money and stuff. But the lies and webs that they weave is just, it's a lot.
It's nuts.
But then also it goes to show that wellness culture can be dangerous, because just because some girl on the internet is saying she cured cancer from like carrot juice and coffee enemas doesn't mean you should do it. That's not, who is this person? They have no credentials. Why are we listening to? But you should listen to us, because we will not guide you astray.
Yeah, right. And I don't think we're giving people advice like that. Like we're talking about you should listen to this TV show.
Yeah.
Or,
the only thing I should give advice
Read
on
this book.
that I am an expert in is boy bands and Law and Order SVU. Those are the 2 things.
Yeah. And that is especially heinous, like in a good way. Like,
we all contain multitudes is basically the moral of every story. But
it is. We're onions. Like
we're ogres.
Is Law and Order like SVU, is that like your go-to like TV show, like when you want something like that's on streaming that you can just have on in the background and not necessarily pay full attention to? Is that show?
And I don't know why that's my comfort show, because it's about heinous crimes.
It's
it's in the title. But
well, and especially heinous. These ones are especially heinous.
I think part of it is, and a lot of people joke about...
It's Elliot Stabler, isn't it?
Just kidding.
Okay.
But no. A lot of people joke about how like this elder millennial craze of true crime junkies and stuff. But I don't think, first of all, it's not new. People have always been rubbernecking at stories like this.
Yes.
Second of all, I think for me as a female, when I hear some of these stories, I think I'm learning how to not end up that way. Sometimes you can't help it. Or what should I do? What would work? Or, I don't know. It's like survival. I love a survival story, first of all. Like, it's not always the grim stuff. But I think it's part of that thing, too, where, like, compassion comes from grief. Like, you learn how to be a better person when you hear about these terrible things and how to not be that terrible thing. And I don't know. I think there's a lot to why it's interesting. I don't know. But I don't need to justify myself to you. But
No, totally not. Yeah. I also wanted to know, have you watched Yellow Jackets?
Yes. But I have not started the new season yet because a Paramount
I haven't
Plus...
seen any of it.
Oh, any of it. Okay. So here's...
It looks good, but I don't know.
Here's my long story about Yellow Jackets.
Yeah.
So it's a Showtime show, which is kind of hard to find on streaming. This is the 3rd season, so I think it's actually been out probably more like 5 years or something, because there's been some kind of long breaks between the seasons.
Sure.
I think the first 2 seasons are on Netflix now, but when I went to try to watch it, it was so hard to find it. I had to get like a free month on some random ass streaming thing to try to watch it really fast, And so I binged the first 2 seasons. It is really good. And then with this new season, it's still a Showtime show, and I follow Melanie Linsky and a couple people that are in it, and it says watch on Showtime or on Paramount Plus. I have Paramount Plus, but I have the cheapest Paramount Plus, which I don't, which I think you have to have like the premium one.
You do.
So now I'm just going to wait for the whole season to come out, do the premium for a month, and then
there you go. That's
so that's my Yellow Jacket story. Here's why I like Yellow Jackets. Part of it is set in the 90s, so the soundtrack is bomb. Second, second, they keep you guessing because you don't totally know everybody that survived.
Oh, cool.
Like, even
cool.
3 seasons in, we still don't totally know everybody that made it.
Love that. Love that.
Trigger warning, there is some cannibalism. So, but in this case, it was...
Okay, can that be the soundbite for this episode? Trigger warning, there is some cannibalism.
Because for those of you that don't know, Yellow Jackets is about a girls soccer team in the 90s. They're on their way to some big tournament and their plane crashes, and then they are surviving. So in order to survive, cannibalism happens at a certain point.
Yeah, just like in the Andes Mountain.
Yes.
That was a real story.
And
right.
and the show kind of starts with some of the survivors talking about how, like, we promised we'd never talk about it. And I'm like, I think everyone can probably guess that's what you did to survive. Like, you don't have to. Yeah. But there's other secrets and stuff that also happen. The adult cast is stacked. It's like Christina Ricci, Juliette Lewis, Melanie Linsky, Elijah Wood's in there at a certain point. It's great. But then...
Is Melanie Linsky, she's the one that was in Anne of Green Gables, right?
I don't know. I don't know. She was... Have you seen Coyote Ugly? She was like the best friend in Coyote Ugly.
No.
Look her. You've seen her in something. She was the weird neighbor on 2.5 Men. She was the stalker.
Okay, yeah. Then she is the girl from Anne of Green Gables. She's actually married to Jason Ritter.
I know.
So I'm so
I love that.
Jealous of her.
Yeah,
but I love that for her, but I hate it for me.
Yeah, the adult cast.
So cute.
The adult cast of that show is great. And then I don't really know any of the younger cast, or I don't recall seeing them in anything, but they are amazing. Like the girl that plays the younger Christina Ricci, so good. She's amazing. So.
Okay.
And then it starts to have a supernatural vibe, which part of me is like, what is going on? But I kind of wonder if it's like they're out in the woods trying to survive. I think they're just believing in something to get through, kind of.
That could be it.
You know?
Or it could feel supernatural.
It could feel real in the moment,
natural.
or like they're believing in this stuff just because they need
Mass
to.
Hysteria.
Yeah, like I wonder if that's part of it.
Yeah.
But even
group hallucinations can happen.
Yeah, like you think that the cannibalism is the main secret they're talking about, but I think there's more. I think there's more.
Dun dun dun.
So
that sounds like it's worth a watch.
Yeah, they're not paying me to say all that, but maybe they should, because it is a great show.
Well, and I asked you. I mean, you didn't bring it up. So.
Yeah, no. I'm like, let me tell you. Yeah. So I will binge the 3rd season probably sometime this summer or something when it's all out.
When it's more economical. Yeah. But have you ever seen the TV show Ghosts?
Ghosts. I don't.
It's where like they buy this, or not they buy. But
the comedy one.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes, but I'm not.
I think that's super cute.
I
just
heard
binged
good
it
things.
all the other day.
Yeah, I've heard good things. Did you know it was a British show first? Okay.
So I watched one episode of the British version. I'm like, not for me. But but the American one, I just think it's adorable, and it's definitely. It's like a show you don't have to like really think about or whatever. Yeah. And it's just kind of relaxing to watch, because I think I've watched some very stressful things. And so sometimes I need, that one that's like chill.
I got really into Shrinking on Apple TV.
I hear that's so good.
It's so good. I'm not caught up yet, but part of it's because the first season was so good, but I'm also an easy crier. And even though it wasn't depressing sad, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just stirring up a lot of things for me, so I had to take a break. Like it was a lot. So, but it's a great show, and I keep being told like it's only gonna get worse, but worse crying wise, but like better story wise, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's about grief. I don't know. There's just a lot in it.
Life.
Yes, basically.
I watched a movie with, who is it? Aubrey Plaza, and it's called My Old Ass.
I saw a trailer for that. I haven't actually seen it, but it's her younger self talking to her older self kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie was a tricky one. So I thought it was just a coming of age movie, so that one was interesting. Just where you're saying that all of a sudden you got like emotional or whatever. Yeah. And I was just like, well, this wasn't relaxing.
Exactly.
So I wanted it to be relaxing. So is there anything out there that I'm missing? Like I only have I have Peacock, I have Paramount, and I have Prime. I've got the 3 Ps. Is there anything out there that I should be watching?
Well, on Peacock, Law and Order, Organized Crime, the Stabler spinoff, is going to be primarily on Peacock. They took it off network NBC and moved it to Peacock because they're trying to make people watch Peacock, I think. New season starts.
That's a good way to do it.
I know. New season starts in April. So there's that. I can't remember. There was a movie I just recently watched on Peacock. I thought it was one. Was it Conclave? It was one of the Oscar ones.
Oh, Conclave. That's
That
the
was
one
good.
with
The
Ray
popes and
Fiennes.
yeah. And then I think The Fall Guy was on Peacock. That was a cute, fun movie.
That was so
yeah.
cute. Why did that not do well in theaters?
I don't know. I thought it was cute and fun, and it's kind of, some of the tricks and stuff are over the top, but the whole movie's about stuntmen, so it kind of like I could appreciate it. Yeah. It's not,
it was funny too.
This movie I just watched, speaking of thinking it was going to be a rom-com-y kind of thing and it ended up being really sad. It's not on any of the things you just named. It's on Max actually, but it's called We Live in Time, Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. The storytelling kind of goes all over the place. It's not like chronological. I thought it was supposed to just be a fun rom-com, and I watched it late on Saturday night, and again, I'm an easy crier, but the way I ugly cried, you'd think I actually knew these people personally. I was like, why am I so... Even I was thinking to myself, why am I crying this heavy? Maybe I was just tired. Like I don't know. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It was a lot.
You gotta let it out. Yeah.
And Andrew Garfield's just cute. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And so is she.
Yeah, she's... I like her a lot. I've liked her in everything I've seen her in, basically, but... Mm-hmm. No, it was just good, but obviously it is sad. Like, some sad stuff happens.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes you like a good sad. Gosh, it sounds terrible. No, same sort of thing. I thought it was going to be like a fun kind of thing, and I was like,
I'm just like, what happened?
And then, of course, White Lotus started, but that's on HBO as well. But.
I've never seen that either. I have a lot of things I haven't seen.
Well, in White Lotus, someone the other day asked me, like, what's that about even? And I was like, basically rich people being terrible is what it's about.
Yeah, right. I think that sounds fair. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, okay.
I wish those were my problems.
Right?
Yeah, thanks for doing this tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this was good.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for listening to Talking with Tasha. I love these collaborations with Local Lou. We always have so much to talk about, and it's just fun to get another local perspective. And she does all the local history stuff. So I just always think her insights are very interesting. I'm going to say interesting a few more times. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And once again, Vanished in Vermillion is the book chosen from the Siouxland Libraries for One Book Siouxland. I will be moderating the author talk on April 24th. It is free to attend, but you need to reserve your seat because seating is limited. You can do that by going to the Siouxland Libraries website and registering. I will have it all linked on talkingwithtasha.com, and I've posted about it on my socials. And where have you been? It'll all be there. I don't even really know what else to say about this story that I didn't already say in the podcast, and I'm saving some of my thoughts for the author talk, but it's just a crazy story, and it is real people, and we have to keep that in mind. And I'm really interested again. I'm really interested to hear the author's thoughts, Lou Raguse, because he obviously was very in-depth on this, talked to all the people involved. So it'll be interesting, take a drink. It'll be interesting to pick his brain a bit. Anyway, that is April 24th, the author talk. Oh, I got to do all this stuff about the podcast. Thank you so much for listening to Talking with Tasha. You can listen to Talking with Tasha at talkingwithtasha.com on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon. You can follow me on all the social medias. I'm also on Fiverr and Cameo if you need a personalized video message sent to somebody, or if you need any voiceover work done for a commercial or animation. I don't know. It's all linked on my website, talkingwithtasha.com. Check that out. Once again, the author talk 1 week from today, April 24th. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, comment, like, and share. How could I forget that? It's so important. Validate me with your likes, and I can't wait for the next episode. Lost Cast will be back, but this Vanished in Vermillion thing kind of took over, which is totally fine because it's a very interesting, that's going to be our keyword today. It's a very interesting story and local, and I'm so honored they asked me to moderate the author talk, so I'm very excited about that. I think there's only one thing left to do, you guys. Be safe, make good choices, wash your hands, just try to be a good person, stay hydrated, and peace out, Brussels sprout. Bye. See you April 24th.